Chennedy Carter's time with the Las Vegas Aces lasted just 12 weeks. What started as a comeback story ended up looking like an all too familiar pattern. And the wildest part is, we're pretty much able to pinpoint exactly when she lost her job. Literally one of the best scoring guards in the league, third in points per minutes type of scoring, which was honestly why so many thought she was on her way to a Sixth Player of the Year award, or at the very least a long run in the playoffs and a lane back into the league. When Carter signed a 1-year non-guaranteed deal with the Aces, it really looked like the perfect reset. She'd already bounced from Atlanta to Los Angeles to Chicago, spent the entire 2025 season overseas, and turning up on the Aces represented stability, structure, and again, a championship environment.
Me and my agent went back to the board. As y'all know, I was away for a year. I traveled to 5 different countries: Saudi Arabia, China, Serbia, everywhere. And then we came back to a point to where I was ready. I feel like I've grown, matured, and I've took time to myself to find out what really matters to me and where I need to be. And I feel like this was the decision we chose, and this is the decision we made. And so far, it was the best decision I've ever made in my life.
Out the gate, Chennedy Carter was helping the Las Vegas Aces. She scored 96 points in her first 5 games, the highest bench scoring start in WNBA history, averaging 19 points per game, playing at her breakneck pace, and putting a few teams on notice for letting her go. It looked like she had a team, it looked like the chemistry was there, and it definitely helps when you're putting up buckets. She's a different type of scorer for the Aces, so it made them a different threat on offense, and unfortunately sometimes a different type of threat on defense as well. Because even with this very hot start and attention grabbing stat lines, the little signs were there, kind of initially showing its head after a game against the Atlanta Dream.
Obviously, I want to help the team close in the fourth quarter if possible. But I think it was a good game. I think Chelsea Gray just doing what Chelsea does, making it happen on both ends.
You started your career here in Atlanta. What, if anything, do you feel about the last 5 years since seeing 17,000 people here in State Farm? I mean, what did that feel to you and the ability to come out and pull a win here?
I don't feel no type of way, man.
Both coaches talked about how we were. How did you feel about your games?
I'm still going through it. I'm a little bit disappointed. So happy we won, but yeah.
What are you most disappointed about?
Thank you.
It just looked really bad when she left her press conference, later stating it was for family issues, but a lot of fans noticed, and of course the media noticed, that she didn't play in that fourth quarter and speculated that this led to her feelings boiling over into the press conference. And I can't say it's the first time, but this is definitely when the defensive issues started to get louder. This is one of the points where Becky Hammon says she wanted to coach Chennedy Carter up on the defensive end.
I'm asking her to play a really high intensity role in the sense of like picking up 94 feet and rim pressure from 94 feet. Like, I'm asking her to play a really exhausting way. Because she's capable, and that's something that we don't have, and that's something she can bring to our team that we didn't necessarily have before. So just trying to put her in spots to be successful. But she's integrated really nicely with the group, not just on the court, but off the court. This is a team that requires everybody to give first, and leaders eat last around here. So we want everybody to be self-led, and she's fit right into being that great teammate, as well as the spark plug off the bench for us. I didn't really know her, so to me, she had a clean slate with me. I'm not going to read too much into the past. For me, it was, this is who we are, and I hope you want to stay here. And then just giving her an environment that, really embraces her and gives her a really great template to be successful. And she's done that. So, I think with our group, whatever her reputation was before, she's been good with our group.
So it wasn't really bad, but there was some tension there. And then came the Dallas game, May 28th, going against the number 1 pick, the rookie AZ Fudd. And it ended up being quite the matchup, because obviously AZ Fudd had some eyes on her being the number 1 pick. There's a lot of expectations coming out, still trying to catch her footing as a starter, earning that trust to stop coming off the bench. And to be honest, it was just a really good game for AZ Fudd. Now, the fact that she was going against Chennedy Chennedy Carter obviously worked against Chennedy Carter, but what hurt her more was how she responded in the game, after the game, and then doubling down on social media. AZ Fudd scored 22 points with Carter on her. Now, fans did start this on Thread, but Carter didn't help by adding her 2 cents. What essentially started the snowball were fans pointing out how well AZ did against her, and essentially saying that Becky benched her because of that matchup. And one of her responses would be, leave her be, it be your own people, that's why. Her money is exactly where it is, and the people she roots for wouldn't do anything to help her. Not really sure what all that means, but this got the ball rolling. Now, she also went on to say, not to mention I made her ankle touch the ground, but y'all can holler at me when my leash is off too. It's completely unfair, even though statistically wise, it's not even close. Now, amongst these threads, a fan goes on to say, that's great sportsmanship. However, you need to make that who you are. Going on a rant about a rookie with a huge brand who literally smiles and hugs her opponents and has never talked trash, won't even give us a slight selly, doesn't help showcase this side of who you are, which is the brand that you need to promote to help your pockets. You're incredibly gifted, stay out of your own way. And this is the comment that Asia Wilson would like. And things like this aren't super hidden, so obviously a lot of people caught on to this. It again became the topic of conversation that something with Chennedy Carter is going on in the locker room. And now it essentially looks like Asia is co-signing that Chennedy needs to calm down a little bit. Now, the unfortunate part after this is Chennedy Carter would go on to have a slew of DNPs or illness related games not being played. She would miss 4 straight games not playing against the Liberty, the Valkyries, Phoenix, Dallas again, and then Minnesota. Now, she would come back for the Portland game, but honestly showed very little life. So if this was an illness related thing, this could be why, but it's still odd, as some fans pointed out, that she was on the sidelines, so I can't really speculate. She did start showing form again in that game against Chicago, scoring 11 points, and honestly really showing out in that Commissioner's Cup championship. Asia Wilson wasn't there, so really the entire team got to show that they could win this game. She gave them 18 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists. Even while it wasn't one of her highest scoring games, she gave them great production. Now, after that, can't really say what happened. She got 4 points in the game against Chicago, playing 11 minutes, and 0 points against Indiana, playing 15 minutes. So she had time on the floor. Something was just off. And I honestly think this goes back to mid-June, I would say. And what may have seemed odd to the fans, Chennedy Carter removed the Aces from her bio and on Instagram. Now, while that's not some big thing, it is very odd, especially with her just coming back from that string of illnesses, from that string of missing games. Now, once fans pointed it out, she quickly put it back. But I think that's probably when she found out she was leaving the team, because her contract was not guaranteed. This was a probationary period. There are a lot of players that get cut right before this deadline, because that means the teams do not have to pay out that salary. So while other things may have contributed and honestly tipped the scales, just looking at what she did for the Aces on the floor was great, but it's not necessarily what the roster needs. At least that's what they're telling us. Carter does play very differently if you think about the way the Aces play in their system. And that was one of the reasons she did so well, coming in, being able to just call her own shot, play ISO ball, and get points on the board. But on a championship team like the Aces, the little things matter. And if Becky says she saw problems with her defense, she had problems with her defense. And going back and looking at that game with the Dallas Wings really only proves her point. And with them still trying to get Asia Wilson back, they would go on to sign Justine Passat to a developmental contract, as well as Tania Latson. So even though it looks bad on Carter's resume, it really does feel more like this was a roster fit. This was really making the hard decision at the last hour and just deciding what's best for the team, especially when they've asked Becky Hammon, because I think PR-wise she hasn't said a lot about Carter's character. She says something along the lines of she couldn't really answer what Carter was like as a person because she didn't have enough time or equity with her. And even teammates have stated Carter wasn't a negative presence in the locker room. Someone like Kirsten Bell spoke up for her. But truly being an on-the-court decision for Becky Hammon, would lead you back to the defensive breakdowns, not really trusting her in fourth quarter clutch time, praising her for her skill and being fast and being able to get the bucket, but is that what the team needs right now? Availability towards the end, considering it being an illness. And once you start to listing off all those things, the social media and extra antics just don't make it worth it. So I can't say it's all her fault, especially as the basketball player she is, but everything in the pot does lead to this decision. And at the very end, even with Becky Hammon consistently praising Carter's scoring ability, she has emphasized the need for defensive reliability. And really, even before the decision to waive her, that could be why her minutes decreased, her role changed, and things just felt more chaotic with her on the floor. And then in the very, very back, the Aces obviously still have Dana Evans. So ultimately, I do think Chennedy Carter could have made this something for herself, but it would have had to go absolutely perfect. And even if her behavior was absolutely perfect, her time on the floor had to go perfect as well. Really, you just hope her career as a whole in the W isn't over. Unfortunately, unfollowing everybody on the Aces except for Parker Tyus, or really just making it seem like you're having a tantrum, probably isn't going to have the other teams rushing to sign her, but maybe she still has a little reputational juice out there with some players or coaches in the league that will get her another chance. I mean, it would end up being her 5th shot at it. And while some things you can definitely put on the player, other things are WNBA and professional sports politics. So in that regard, I do feel bad for another absolute baller who might be being pushed out of the league.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, players.